How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So on today's video, we're going to be going over some things you should be doing before, during, and after a snow event. So obviously, some of you in the South probably will may not benefit from this. Although, if you're traveling up north for the holidays, you may get caught out in a snow event and use some of these tips. If you're above the Rust Belt, then you may have one or two snow events a year. If you're in the northern states or in Canada, then you probably are used to dealing with snow throughout the northern months, and sometimes even most of the year. So additionally, if you have any tips you'd like to recommend for the viewers, make sure you do drop a comment down below for them so we could all learn from each other. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with some things that you may want to do before the snow event. So once again, you're going to want to, if you know a storm is coming, you want to prepare for that storm. Things I like to do personally, and we just had a storm over the weekend. It turned out to be nothing, although, these forecasters are often wrong. So it's always better to be prepared and not need something than need something and not have it. So I like to always have at least half a tank of gas, or more if possible. Some checks you're going to want to do is obviously check your lights. Make sure your wiper inserts or wiper blades are in great working condition. They ice up oftentimes, and you'd be surprised how many people come through the shop with subpar wiper inserts or wiper blades and really cleaning horribly. Now, if there's ice on top of those already cleaning horribly, wiper blades, then during these conditions and events, then your vision is going to be drastically reduced, especially if it's at nighttime. So make sure you have good working wiper blades. Also, make sure your headlights, tail lights, turn signals, everything is working, especially during the nighttime. Visibility could be greatly reduced, and you don't want to get caught out there. Somebody doesn't see you and ends up running into you or whatnot. The next one's pretty obvious, but again, you'd be surprised how many people are driving around with not only non-seasonal tires, which can be okay if you drive cautiously as long as the tread is good. But a lot of people come through the shop with horrible tires, and sometimes they even look like slicks, and it's just mind-boggling how many people are out there driving these vehicles with tires in this condition. Now, you may be doing all the right things, but if the person next to you is driving a vehicle with ball tires, it doesn't matter what you do. Especially these people tend to sometimes be on the more aggressive side, and no matter what you do, they could put your life in danger. So obviously you can't manage what they do. You can only manage what you do. So make the right choice. Make sure your tires are at least 4 or 5 30 seconds, preferably in the snow. I would say at least 6 30 seconds, and obviously use all season tires or snow tires if you have snow pretty often. A user just asked me, a follower just asked me the other day about tire chains for the snow. So if you're in an area that you experience tons of snow and for most of the winter you're dealing with snow, then that's obviously an option for you as well. Although here in my area, all season tires, or sometimes we do see some snow tires being put on cars, although all season tires are more than enough for in my area here in New Jersey. So those are definitely some things you're gonna want to do before the snow event starts. Also, I like to have a blanket in the car. You never know if you get stuck or whatnot. I also like to keep a shovel in the car as well. Again, both my cars are all-wheel drive, although you never know, you get stuck in a bank. The TLX is lowered, so a decent amount of snowfall that's not plowable, I could get into some trouble. So the Honda's all-wheel drive system and Acura's all-wheel drive system is great. But again, it's always better to be prepared and not need something than need something and not have it in the car. So the next thing is if you're traveling, or I use this example a couple years back. We had not such a significant snowfall, although it was very unexpectedly, and our governor didn't treat the roads properly. I was on the way to pick up my son from daycare, and there was normally a 10-15 minute commute turned into a 2-hour commute. Long story short, I had to leave my pickup truck. I had a Silverado back in the day, and I had to leave it in the parking lot and walk over to his daycare where I was picking him up. Next thing that thought to my mind, well, I have a toddler or an infant with me at this point, and we only had one formula already prepared. So I had to take that with me. So what I did is we had his cooler in the car, and I filled it with snow just to keep the formula cold till he was ready to drink it. Luckily, I made it home within a couple hours from that event, although you never know what's going to happen, right? Especially if you have minors, if you have young children in the car, make sure you have snacks for them. Make sure you have blankets. In the event you run out of gas, you want to try to stay warm as much as possible. You're going to want to huddle together, and use body temperature to keep each other warm and safe until you could manage out of whatever situation you are in. You're also going to want to have a cell phone charger with you. Most people have these nowadays. Some people even have wireless chargers in the cars, although some of them are useless. If you have an iPhone or anything like that on Honda's system, most of them are useless. So make sure you have a cable with a wire for your phone. Again, that's only going to be as good as long as your car is running. So if you run out of gas and get stuck out there somewhere, obviously this is going to be very rare situations, but it can happen like it did to me. I was out on the road for about 5 hours, which should have been no more than a 45-minute there and back commute with me being in, the daycare and everything. So stuff like that does happen. And once again, luckily, I was able to manage myself out of that. But again, it could have turned worse really bad. So those are some of the things that you're going to want to do. If you have any tips, once again, make sure you drop a comment down below with those tips. So during the snow event, obviously, you're going to want to be as cautious as possible. I like to leave an abundance of space between me and a person in front of me. Some people like to tailgate. And again, you can only control what you can control. So make sure you're keeping a safe distance. And as soon as I start hitting the brakes, I always like to look in my rearview mirror. If I see the person behind me getting too close, I inch up closer to the person in front of me to give them extra space. Make sure you're courteous out there. Just because somebody's being reckless doesn't mean you can't be courteous back, because obviously if they hit you, it's only going to put you in danger and obviously cost you some money if things get out of hand and you get into an accident. So I always use that as a guide, and I try to do that as much as possible. I do that in any condition, but more so when it's snowing. You're gonna want to take turns super slow and easy, especially if your car is rear-wheel drive based. They get squiggly real quick, so definitely something you want to be mindful for. Another thing I like to do is if it's a decent amount of snow already, I like to follow the path of the car in front of me, because they're already making a path in front of you, and they're clearing out some of that snow for you. So I try to use the car in front of me as a guide and a way to keep me safe. I find that if you don't follow the lines as much, the car gets squiggly or could get squiggly and become unpredictable. So just another tip that you're going to want to follow, in my opinion, and is something that will keep you safe. If you're on a highway, obviously use caution, go slow as much as possible. And again, try to stay in the lane, try to follow the person's tracks in front of you. You see a lot of people that spin out is because they were going in and out of traffic or whatnot, and eventually they get too much snow and the snow throws them off and you lose control of the car and end up hitting something or someone. So definitely something you're going to want to be careful on. If the snow is very heavy and hard, I like to throw on the hazards because you become obviously alerted, and people are alerted that you're there. And once one or two cars do this, kind of everyone already follows. Sometimes, especially at night, visibility is greatly reduced, especially you shouldn't be driving in some conditions, but some people have to drive in conditions of this nature. So some people don't have a choice. If you can stay home, obviously that's the best choice for you. If you can't stay home, then it is what it is. You got to get to work. Just try to be as careful as possible. So I want to go back real quick to some things you should be doing in preparation before. Some people may want to apply undercoating. This is going to be for the people that are probably plowing or commuting and have a delivery service type of a vehicle or a job where you're being exposed to this salt. So you're going to want to protect your vehicle from that event. So apply undercoating or liquid wax to the undercoating of the car, the body of the car, to try to prevent the salt from penetrating the metals. So most people probably won't need this, although if you're up in Canada, upstate New York and stuff, Vermont, this will probably apply to you. Just wanted to take that note real quick. So after the snow event, you're going to want to take your car to an underbody car wash service. So sometimes these are pretty easy to be found. Sometimes they aren't. They also sell underbody wash sprays that you get off of Amazon like that. So maybe that's an option for you. I personally like to take it to a specific car wash, and I usually go pretty much after the snow has cleared off. I'll go immediately after that. I'll follow up with another car wash in the next couple days. You know, a lot of times there's some snow still defrosting and whatnot, and turning into slush, freezing, turning into slush, and all that. And the streets are still being treated with brine and our salt. So that still gets up in the chassis as it becomes liquid and splashes and everything. So I like to go, you know, 2-3 days later and, you know, just get the car washed thoroughly once again. If you do this at home, that's fine as well. Like I said, they do have underbody sprayers that will definitely help you with this. You're going to want to get as much as that salt and brine off as much as possible because that stuff is cancerous to these vehicles and will only, you know, start, you know, with rust and everything like that prematurely. So something you definitely want to do. And if you have a couple events back to back, just make sure you're taking it to these car washes pretty often, pretty frequently, to once again get all the rust off these cars. Another thing we see and something you should consider doing is lifting up the car or looking underneath it. A lot of times snow gets caught in these underbelly shields and drags them down. Eventually they get caught on something and they rip off. So obviously you don't want that happening. So if it does get caught in there, it may turn into ice overnight, and it causes a lot of weight. And over a speed bump, or, you know, for example, it may get caught once again and rip off and cause some damage that you're later going to have to replace. So definitely something good to do. If you feel a vibration immediately after a snowstorm, chances are there is snow and or ice stuck on your wheels causing a vibration. It'll be pretty noticeable in most cases, so you'll know immediately. And just take a peek at your wheels and go in there with a broomstick or whatnot and just, you know, break off that ice or snow. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Once again, if you have any tips or tricks or any additional information, make sure you drop it in the comment section down below. Like this, we could all be educated and start a communication. So with that being said, I'll catch everyone on the next one.